This is game 4 of Mistgun versus Chesstick. Populate! Populate is great, always. Well, most of the time, always. And here, it's probably okay. I don't know. With Way of the Horse, I guess, Populate, if you hit it, you can always return the cards that you don't want to play. So, I think Populate will be fun here. It may not be perfectly optimal in any case, but I'm certainly going to want to go for that. It does kind of Nambo, which is not a combo with Highway. Highway makes stuff cheap, but there's no plus buy here. Right? You can gain stuff with Hermits. You can gain stuff with remakes. Fairgrounds can be nice with Displace. You can gain Fairgrounds and displace them to provinces. And with Populate, you're going to have tons of cards. So there are 19 unique cards, if I'm counting correctly, on this kingdom. There isn't actually a horse card, just every card is horse. So that's the strategy there. We can see what they've opened. Chesstick plays Necropolis' Way of the Horse. That's a nice interaction. It doesn't actually return because there's no pile. Gets the turn 1 displace. Mistgun did the same thing. And then gets a church. I like getting church. I think you want to get churches to thin out your coppers. They let you do some nice things. I would potentially want to consider a remake at some point, but it may be that between church and remake, between church and displace. You're right. Necro, Hovel, and Overgrown Estate do get you to 20 uniques. Thank you, Matt. So, and your Hovel and your Necro will both get displaced. And with Populate, you end up blowing through your Madmen probably, but your Fairgrounds can be worth 8 if you buy 1 curse, which certainly would be worth it. So we'll see what Chesstick elects to do here. I would probably displace Hovel into something, silver maybe, and then consider setting aside some number of cards, 0 or 3 being my 2 possibilities. I think, honestly, I probably want to ramp up to 10 with some treasures just to get 1 Populate and then sort of figure it out from there. That's not a super coherent strategy, but so basically get a silver, get a gold, then get a Populate, and then sort of, okay, Caravan's nice, Highway's nice, Envoy I don't care about, I'll displace that into something. You can only play 1 displace a turn here, since unless you get the Madman. So certainly for my Populate strategy, there's an argument to get a Hermit. And then the turn that you play the Hermit on the Populate turn, you get the Madman that turn, which seems nice. I'm not sure what Chesstick is doing here. The Hermit, I guess, seems fine, but I'm not sure what the Ratcatcher is doing between Church and Displace. You seem to be moving through your coppers pretty quickly. You definitely don't want to trash the Overgrown Estate in my strategy with Fairgrounds being worth 8 points, but Chesstick is limiting themselves to Fairgrounds being worth 6 points, which is maybe reasonable. The game may not go on so long that you're able to get 1 unique of everything. Then again, with Populate, you get 9 uniques in a single turn, so we'll see. They're going for Highway stuff now. One nice thing about Highway is that with Highway in play, you can displace coppers into higher cost items. So with 3 Highways in play, you can displace a copper into 5 cost, because the 5 cost now costs 2. I generally want to be getting up to things like Fairgrounds, though, and then displacing Fairgrounds into provinces and repeat. Okay, so they just went ahead and returned the Ratcatcher. That makes more sense than playing it, try to trash a copper. And we'll see if they displace this Hermit here, or if they set it aside. With Church, I could sort of believe either line. I might actually consider setting aside displace copper and then using Hermit to gain a caravan and buying another caravan. Getting the drop seems quite nice. So I've been following mostly Chesstick, the player on the bottom of my screen. Mistgun was able to also displace a Hovel into a Hermit by a Church, and then last turn by the Ratcatcher. We'll see if they elect to play the Ratcatcher or if they're going more for the horse strategy. Chesstick displaces the Hermit to a Highway, and this just buys another Highway. Okay, so they're going for a Highway-heavy strategy. I assume they're not going for Populate. Mistgun has a little bit unfortunate all of their terminals in the same hand this shuffle. I think these are exactly their 3 terminals in the deck, and they have a Necropolis somewhere else down there, so it's a little bit sad. I think probably you start by horsing the. I think you start by horsing the Hermit. Okay, they went ahead and horsed the Remake, which seems reasonable. We'll see now if they're going to play the Necropolis as horse, or if they're going to play it for plus action and then display something else. Certainly, if you're going for the Highway heavy strategy here, yeah, getting to double province turns with Displace is quite easy. If you're able to keep gaining them. They're still not thin enough, so the turns where they gain 2 highways still seem like they're going to be every other or every third turn or something, but we'll see if they're able to ramp that up quickly. And Mistgun went ahead and got the Madman there, which seems nice. They can always return that Ratcatcher as a horse and then Madman. So Chesstick got a bunch of Hermits and Madman, which seems reasonable. Mistgun now thinking, does horse the Ratcatcher. And I'd probably church aside the 3 coppers and then displace the Overgrown Estate into something else. Potentially a second church. Okay, so that went the Ratcatcher as well. It doesn't look like either of them are going for the Populate Fairgrounds strategy, so probably they can safely trash their Overgrown Estate with their strategies. Here we are seeing the nice interaction with the highways and the displace. They can displace a copper into highway, buy a highway. Next turn they've got a church. I kind of want to be a little bit thinner as them, but they've got 5 highways already on turn 7, so it's hard to complain about their strategy. This turn they'll be able to also do a lot more. So Mistgun now able to draw through deck. Probably don't play this second Ratcatcher at all. Save it to horse it next turn. But can play their Necro now and potentially start doing some displace tricks. Maybe displace the Hermit into highway. In fact, they can play Necro, displace Hermit to highway, and draw it this turn if they want, and then buy, I guess, a caravan. To add to what Matt Guard said, if you get 7 highways in play, you can remake 2 coppers into provinces. Probably that won't happen, but that's at least possible. You can also Hermit provinces if you get 5 highways in play. I think Chesstick maybe can, yeah. I was gonna, I'll describe that when it gets to their turn. We'll see what Mistgun does. Okay, so they gained another Hermit. They played a Hermit to gain a Hermit. They played a Madman. I'm a little bit confused as to what they're doing here. Exile the Hermit into a highway. That felt like they could have done that same thing without having spent their Madman. Maybe their deck is thin enough that it's okay. Yeah, that seems like a fine undo. technically they drew a card, but they have one card in their deck, so that seems fine. Yeah, so somehow Mistgun fell behind this game. We'll see. Turn 2, Chesstick got a church and Mistgun got a remake and was not ever actually able to play that remake. Turn 3, Mistgun got a church. Turn 4, Chesstick got a highway. So having set aside their church on turn 3, Chesstick was able to have 5 on turn 4 to buy a highway. And Mistgun missed their second buy, their first shuffle. And then Chesstick has been able to ramp this up. Yeah, so Chesstick is short on draw here a bit. I guess they can play the Necro for draw if they really want. Probably they will. I think the line here is going to be Necro is draw, Church-aside cards, gain 2 highways. I'm trying to decide if I want to have gain any madmen this turn as part of this combination. They can also consider adding in some 6 costs, some fairgrounds or something as food to displace. See, okay, they are playing that naturally. Looks like they're going to displace a copper into highway and gain 3 highways. Seems pretty reasonable to me. Just getting all the highways. Do you need more than 7 highways? It's actually, I think 7 that's where you want to stop on highways in case you want to do some kind of remake tricks. So the interesting part here is do they blow up these hermits now? Okay, so they're just going for all the highways. And potentially even they can return some of the highways if they need a little bit more draw. I'm not sure they 100% played that turn optimally. I think there's a little bit more they could have done with the church. I don't know that they necessarily need to get all the highways, but maybe getting all the highways was a blocker. So Mistgun's not going to be able to get enough highways to do tricks, and then Chesstick can now slow down, take their time, and slowly green. Just slowly start displacing stuff into province. I would consider this turn even blowing up both your hermits if you can to get madmen. I think that'll be pretty nice. Mistgun's in a really tough spot here. The plan to get highways, I think, looks like what Mistgun was going towards. They weren't looking to the populate plan. And now the highway pile has been denied to them. So they've got to try to change gears here and figure out what they want to do. If they want to try to go for fairgrounds to get more points or what. But it's going to be really tough for Mistgun to get more than 1 province a turn. And it's going to be pretty easy for Chesstick to do so. We'll see how much they set aside. I think both these players want to be playing with more madmen. How do you get to those madmen? You have to figure out. And unfortunately with 5, you either buy nothing to get a madman or... Okay, so they got a gold. Which they will be able to displace into province, which is nice. We'll see if Chesstick is able to draw here. I think they should be able to. They're going to have to... Yeah, this is a little bit of a tough spot. Probably they just want to hermit a province and pass turn. Get the madman. And then next turn they can do more, knowing that their deck is a much higher ceiling, so they're okay taking it a little bit slow at this spot. There's no pile pressure. There's no VP pressure. Not like Mistgun's going to jump out and get a bunch of VP that they can't catch up from. Mistgun does have the ability potentially to well, they can't get double province with their current deck state, but they can certainly start doing tricks with displace and gold to ramp up their payload. But next turn they can at most get one province, and then the turn after that they have to displace the province back into gold to get the gold, and then they still have to draw it, and it's not clear that they have enough draw to make that happen right now. So they're going for displace instead. Displace what into what? Caravan? Remake? Caravan, okay. And then I assume buy another caravan to just make sure their draw is up. I desperately want this populate deck to work, but it's turn 9 and Chesstick has a huge stack of highways and is about to start double provincing. So maybe the hope of the populate deck was a bit much. I'll have to try it out later against the Lord Raddington and see if I can get to populate by turn 8. So they're both sort of stopping their payload build to add some more deck reliability now in terms of the caravans. I think last turn I liked getting the Madman better because the Madman turn you can gain multiple. You can sort of play your Necropolis as a village, and then you have 3 actions. You can use 2 Hermits to gain caravans and display something into province, or displace province into caravan or something. But I think Chesstick is pretty far ahead at this point, and it seems pretty safe for them to take the line that they took. Mistgun again, their Necro's at the bottom of the deck. They only have 1 action. They have these 2 terminals. Which one do they want to play? They are going to play the displace the Hermit into caravan. I assume buy another gold. Okay, so they're thinking they can get some amount of money with golds and do stuff there. Chesstick still does not quite have enough draw to reliably draw their deck, but they have so many highways that that's not a huge deal. I think they can church displace copper, maybe displace 2 coppers, just displace copper. Displace 2 coppers, gain a province with Hermit, and turn the Hermit into Madmen is the line I would take here. That feels quite nice. They gain a province, they gain a Madman. They've got a bunch of cards set aside next turn, guaranteeing their next turn should be pretty nice. And they've got a caravan and Necropolis, 2 highways down there, so they should have plenty of draw for next turn if they do that. They might also be considering churching aside the Hermit, displacing copper into province, and buying province. Both those lines feel pretty nice. Okay, so they return the church. Interesting. Not clear to me if that's super better, but it is quite nice. I would still like to trash those coppers, but their deck is in pretty good shape. So again here, I would go Hermit Province, Hermit Province. I might actually go Hermit Province, displace copper into province, end turn. Gain 1 Madman, and then next turn you can do the same thing with the other Hermit. Gain 1 province, displace 1 province, gain a Madman. And that gets you to 4 provinces. And you feel pretty reliable there. And so this is turn 10, so turn 10, 11, and 12, you each get double provinces. And I think the game will be over at that point. But the Madman helps guarantee that you'll be able to double province next turn, and potentially triple if you play Hermit, displace, and buy the province. So I was wrong about wanting the church to trash the coppers a second ago. You want to displace those coppers into province, and possibly with the madmen in play, you're happy displacing your necro or one of the highways or a caravan into province as well, because you have overdraw with the madmen. I'm not liking. I feel like Chesstick could be doubling. He could double provincing and gaining a madman. Seems better than adding the caravans. I think this game ends very, very quickly, and the madmen sort of guarantee that you're going to be able to have turns and do everything. Mistgun here is going to be able to get a province. We'll see what line they take with the church. Potentially they could church the two coppers and silver, displace gold into province by a caravan. They're not going to play the church at all. That seems highly... That is confusing to me. Why would they not? Okay, so they've gone now full populate mode, which I'm happy with. I like populate, seems like a good card here. However, if Chesstick can draw, they can win the game here. They have enough gains. I think Chesstick needs to pause here and start horsing these highways, because I believe... Oh, they're short on actions. Never mind. But they desperately need to... they desperately need double province here. And again, my line here would be Hermit for province, displace copper into province and turn, and then you have a madman. Yeah, I was confused. So don't horse highways. That empties the pile. Yeah, so I think double province madman seems to me to be the best line here. They're going to get a gold or something. They could also displace the province into Hermit, I think. I think if you displace the province into Hermit, and then you gain a province and a madman, you Hermit for a province, gain a madman, you're still in pretty good shape. You've got enough VP, and Mistgun again can only really get two victory point cards a turn. So they're going to have a tough time catching up. You should be able to double province reliably with those extra madmen, and you could sort of happily lower the Hermit and Caravan piles. Mistgun is going to have a really nice, impressive turn. Unfortunately, like the Fairgrounds points will go away as they horse some of these actions, as they horse the envoys and the pillages and stuff. Ratcatcher you can play as an action and so on, but we'll see what Chesstick decides to do here. They may have been thinking they were clearly in the lead, and all of a sudden Mistgun populates, and they're recalculating what the exact details of how they need to play this game out are. I think every line I can think of here involves double provincing and Madman, or single provincing and Madman, but Madman plays pivotally in all of the spots. And you can think, well, aren't you drawing deck anyways without the Madman? It gives you the extra plus action, and if you can get two Madmen in a turn, you can do gain and play tricks with the Hermits and end the game quickly. I think gain and play with Hermit can be powerful. You can also gain and play a displace potentially if you have extra actions. And it doesn't seem crazy to me that Mistgun might use one of their two terminals on a pillage just to try to high roll the pillage to make sure you discard one of your actions. So if Chesstick does happen to draw the Madman in the first 5, it could get discarded. But they also have so many cantrips, caravans, and highways that it's somewhat unlikely. I'm not quite sure what they're thinking about here. There are some other lines you could take. You could displace Hermit into Province, play Hermit to gain a Hermit. back and then take the Madman, so that line you have one more Hermit, and then you have a copper you can displace next turn. But they did end up displacing the province, and I assume taking the Hermit here. I assume that I've not... they've not been doing stuff like that the last 2 turns, and I've suggested it, so I'll say my line would be to take a Hermit here, and then gain a province, and say that my opponent can't possibly get 12 VP next turn, or I should say 12 VP is the absolute maximum your opponent can get next turn if they get 2 provinces. Again, it seems safest to get 2 provinces here as Chesstick, but they've elected to take a different line. Okay, so they did get the Hermit. And this seems pretty clearly a Hermit for province. And end turn. Gain a Madman. And they should have, they'll have 3 actions next turn. So the ability to... They'll have 3 terminal actions next turn. So they can't quite... Yeah, so they should be able to pile out next turn. Use all the Hermits to gain Hermits, and then buy province and 2 caravans. Okay. So they roughly did the line that I suggested, which is nice. Now we see Mistgun playing through their deck. We'll see what they do here. I assume they return the Church. They can return the Ratcatcher. Displace is probably the card they don't want to return. Okay, so they found both displaces. So the ability now to double province has been found. They could potentially double province estate. I think that's the ceiling of what I'm seeing their deck is being able to do. Well, they can actually do a little bit. No, so they can't. Yeah, so they can get 3 green cards, where the third one is going to end up being an estate. We'll see if they go for the pillage line here. It doesn't allow them to get double province quite, but it has the potential to mess with Chestick's hand. I don't think it actually in practice will, because I think Chesstick can almost draw through and then just gain 2 more provinces this turn. Waiting on Mistgun to think this through. I think they're thinking, what are they displacing into what? So they can displace the gold into province, horse the Hermit to draw it, and then displace something into displace that province back into gold. But then they don't have the gold in hand, and I guess they won't have enough money to buy a province there. So the other line would be to... Interesting. Are they going to gain a caravan here? Are they going to gain a silver? I'm not certain what they're doing with these Hermits. There's maybe a school of thought where they gain, rat catchers or just some innocuous action that they can do something with later, that they can horse later, and then buy a province and gain 2 madmen, and then try to have a huge turn next turn. See if that's what they're doing. If they want to displace into a duchy, or displace the envoy into gold, or are they going for another populate, or are they going for fairgrounds? I think there's a lot of options available to them here. Well, populate I think just loses immediately to the Hermit caravan pile out. So I'm a little bit confused by what their goal is here. I would think the goal would be to get as many madmen as possible and try to have a huge turn next turn where you get 4 provinces somehow. I'm not quite tracking how that would happen, but So what are they undoing? I'm not sure. That was a little bit of an information undo. I mean, you basically say, well, I know what the bottom card of my deck was a copper because I have 2 coppers in the deck, but that's on the borderline of what kind of undos that I would allow. I would certainly ask my opponent to explain what that undo meant, because it's possible you've lost track of your deck and you don't remember that you have a copper down there, and so after horsing. But obviously Mistgun did buy populate last turn, so it's obvious that they knew. It's fairly obvious that they have a copper, but it's a play order thing. I'd probably grant it in the end, because I generally support granting of undos for players who want them. But I think some players, even in League, would not allow that undo. Props to Chesstick for being nice and letting that. Is that allowed? The undo. They horsed the pillage. So no opponent's hand. So did not see opponent's hand. It was technically an info undo, so the League rules don't require Chesstick to allow it. If it was fair to undo. As I said, I'm a strong info. I'm a strong undo supporter, so I will, in that case, pretty much just say yes. I might say question mark to ask my opponent exactly what their intent is. And they say, hey, yeah, I knew it was a copper. I just wanted to change the hermit play once I thought about it some more. I'd be like, okay, but probably won't allow another one like that in this match. Especially because it's game 4 of this match. It's been going for 2.5 hours. Both players are taking plenty of time to think. But again, I'm gonna allow it. So yeah, it looks like Chesstick has the pile out here on Hermits and Caravans. Yep, so that's game 4 to Chesstick. Good game, Chesstick. I think I will stay with you for a game 5. I have another tournament to get to, another game to get to myself later on, but I've not gotten contacted about that. So I will see you on game 5.